You should really have a VIP section, said, surveying the ancient amphitheater. In Ephesus, he wasn't joking. He explained to our Turkish guide that for a higher ticket price, you could offer cushioned seats, bottle service, and a private entrance. You're leaving money on the table, Lee, he concluded as if he were consulting. For a nightclub, not standing in a 2,000-year-old historical marvel. The suggestion to just pave it over was met with a silence so cold it could have frozen the Venetian lagoon in August. An American tourist tired of dragging his rolling suitcase over the historic cobblestone paths had seriously proposed to a city official that they should just asphalt everything. Think of the convenience, he argued, and you could paint lines for lanes. It would be so much more orderly. It started with a simple question to the Parisian cheesemonger, do you have anything that's not so smelly? The shop owner, a man who considered cheese his life's art, patiently offered a mild Conte. The American tasted it and shook his head. No, I mean like American cheese. The orange kind in the plastic. You should really stock some. It would be a, say, huge hit with tourists. It melts better. 4 burgers. His exact words to the Italian barista were, your customer. Throughput is terrible. The barista, who had been serving perfect espressos in under 20 seconds for 30 years, just stared at him. The American continued undeterred, sketching on a napkin. Look, you get rid of this counter. People want to sit. You need big, comfortable chairs for laptops. You need to offer 3 different sizes. Grande venti. You need flavor syrups. Pumpkin spice in the fall. A loyalty card. You're thinking like a coffee stand. You need to be thinking like a destination. He was trying to turn a beloved, efficient Roman espresso bar into a Starbucks, completely missing that the entire point was to not be a Starbucks. Have you ever seen a man try to direct traffic in the middle of Hanoi? I have. An American tourist, overwhelmed by the organized chaos of the scooter-filled streets, stepped into an intersection and started waving his arms, authoritatively trying to create lanes and stop-go flows. He caused a gridlock that took 10 minutes to untangle, all while shouting, I'm helping, I'm making it safer. The complaint wasn't about the food or the service, but about the entire business model of a German beer garden. This is so inefficient, a woman explained to the manager. You have all this open space. You should get rid of the big, heavy tables and put in hundreds of small, plastic ones, and instead of waiters, you could have a buzzer system like at Panera Bread. You could serve 3 times the people. His plan to fix the Great Barrier Reef was truly breathtaking. After a snorkeling trip, an American tourist told the boat captain, the coral is a little drab in some spots. You know what you should do? You should get some environmentally safe paint and just touch up the duller parts. Bright blues, vibrant pinks. It would be way better for Instagram photos. The problem apparently was the sun. We were in a Spanish plaza during siesta, and an American was complaining that everything was closed. I get that it's hot, he said, but that's a solvable problem. Why hasn't the city installed a series of large retractable awnings over the entire square? You could create shade and keep business going all day. It's just basic engineering. This whole walking thing is a major flaw in the design. This was a tourist's assessment of Machu Picchu. He was out of breath and annoyed. You should have a cable car that goes straight from the entrance to the very top viewpoint and maybe an escalator for tray. The main plaza, more people would enjoy the history if they weren't so tired from the exercise. She tried to re-cork the wine bottle in a high-end restaurant in Bordeaux after the Slayer had presented and poured it. Her reasoning: we're only having one glass each, and I don't want the air to spoil it. You should really invent a system for preserving open bottles at the table. The sommelier looked at her, then at the 1982 vintage, and I think a single. Perfect tear rolled down his cheek. The suggestion was delivered with the confidence of a Silicon Valley CEO. We were in a tranquil Zen garden in Japan. "This is nice," an American said to a monk, "but it's not monetized. You should have an app. People could pay a subscription to view a live stream of the garden. You could have a premium tier for a Zen thought of the day. You're sitting on a content goldmine. This whole place needs a better branding strategy," she announced, looking at the stunning cliffs of Moa in Ireland. She was a marketing executive from California. "You call them the cliffs of Moher, which is fine, but it's not exciting. You should rebrand them as Ireland's Extreme Edge or something. You could have a zip line that runs along the coastline and sell energy drinks at the visitor center. You have to create a brand, not just a view. The ancient art of flamenco, according to one American tourist, needed a modern update. After a show in Seville, he told the manager, "The dancing is great, but the music is a little repetitive. You should mix in some pop music. Imagine this dancing, but to a Beyoncé song, it would be a viral TikTok hit. You have to think about the algorithm." His idea to improve the Scottish Highlands was simple: sell towers. "The scenery is epic, but I can't get a signal to post my pictures," he complained. "You guys should install some camouflaged cell towers on a few of these mountains. You could preserve the view, but still provide the connectivity that modern travelers require. It's a win-win." She wanted to edit the Bayeux Tapestry, not literally, but conceptually. "It's a great story," she said, looking at the 11th century embroidery, "but it's very male-dominated. You should commission a new section, showing what the women were doing and make it more colorful. It's a bit drab for modern tastes." The pyramids of Giza, he argued, were a missed opportunity. They're just sitting there. You should build a luxury hotel right on top of the big one, the Pyramid Palace. The rooms would have the best views in the world, and you could have a glass-bottomed pool on the roof. People would pay anything for that. His exact words were, "This is a massive lawsuit waiting to happen." We were standing inside a magnificent 800-year-old cathedral in France. He wasn't admiring the stained glass or the vated ceilings. He was pointing at the stone floor. "These flagstones are uneven. Someone could trip. You need to level this whole floor with polished concrete and put up wet floor signs. In America, you'd be sued into oblivion." He seemed genuinely concerned, offering legal and construction advice to a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The silence that followed his suggestion was profound. We were at a traditional tea ceremony in Kyoto, a ritual perfected over centuries. After the host spent 15 minutes in meticulous, silent preparation, the American in our group cleared his throat and said, "You know, you could streamline this whole process. A Keurig machine with matcha pods. You'd get the same result in 30 seconds. It's all about efficiency." The host simply bowed, her face an unreadable mask, and continued the ceremony as if he hadn't spoken at all. It started with a complaint about the pasta. We were in a small trattoria in Saeta, Rome, and an American was unhappy with his cacio e pepe. "There are only 3 ingredients," he explained to the owner. "It's too simple. You should offer add-ons like chicken, sun-dried tomatoes, or jalapenos. You could have a build-your-own pasta bar. People like choices. It's the cheesecake. Factory model. You should look into it. He was trying to franchise a timeless Roman dish. The suggestion came after a 10-minute silence during which our group stared in. Or at the 17,000-year-old cave paintings at Lascaux. You know what would make this better? American tourist whispered loudly to the guide. Track lighting. You could install some low-heat LEDs to really make the colors pop. And for the kids, you could have interactive laser pointer systems so they can trace the bison on the wall. He then added the master stroke and a gift shop at the end that sells a paint-your-own cave wall kit. You have to make history interactive. The French guide looked like he wanted to become a fossil himself and just stay in the cave forever. The problem, he decided, was the lack of narrative. We were watching the famous whirling dervishes in Turkey, a deeply spiritual Sufi ceremony. Afterwards, he approached one of the organizers. It's visually very cool, he began, but there's no story. You should have a big screen behind them that explains what they're doing, maybe with some cool graphics, and the music could use a stronger beat. It needs to be more of a show. You know, like a Tic du Soleil thing that would really pack the house. She wanted to install air conditioning in the Amazon rainforest, not in the lodges, but in the actual forest. Okay, humidity is just oppressive, she told our guide. Why can't the major tour companies sponsor the installation of large-scale solar-powered dehumidifiers and cooling units along the main trails? You could create comfort zones for tourists every few hundred yards. It would make the whole experience so much more pleasant for everyone. His grand idea to fix the canals of Venice was to introduce a one-way system. He had drawn it out on a napkin. Look, he explained to a gondolier, all the boats on this canal go north, and all the boats on that one go south. You'd eliminate traffic jams, and you could probably go faster. You could even have express lanes for an extra fee. It's just basic traffic flow management. You guys should really get an engineer to look at the gondolier just laughed and took another drag from his cigarette. The suggestion to the Belgian monk at the Trappist brewery was to start making a hard seltzer. This beer is amazing. The American tourist conceded, but it's very heavy. The real market growth is in low-carb, gluten-free options. You could make a Trappist water, something, keep the holy brand, but pivot to a healthier product. You have to adapt to the market. The monk, whose order had been brewing the same recipe since the 1600s, just nodded slowly, his eyes full of ancient, unknowable patience. After visiting the Killing Fields Memorial in Cambodia, a place of profound sadness and reflection, a young American tourist had a suggestion for the staff. This place is super sad. It's a real downer. You should have a separate area with some uplifting stories of survivors, maybe with some inspiring music. And the gift shop should sell more cheerful souvenirs. You have to give people a sense of hope, not just all this depressing history. He had completely missed the entire point of memorialization. The issue with the Parthenon, according to one tourist, was that it was unfinished. He stood on the Acropolis, looked at the iconic structure, and said to his wife, "You'd think after all these years they would have finished building it. They should start a GoFundMe to complete the roof and walls. I'd donate. It would look so much better if it was a whole building instead of just the columns." He thought it was an active construction project that had run out of money. She wanted to organize the wildlife on the Galapagos Islands. After a tour, she told the naturalist guide, "It's all a bit random, isn't it? You see some sea lions here, some tortoises there. You should have designated zones. Like this island is for the iguanas. That one is for the boobies. You could create a more predictable and efficient viewing experience for tourists instead of just hoping you see something." She wanted to redesign Darwin's living laboratory into a zoo. His plan to improve the running of the bulls in Pamplona was to make it safer and more inclusive. First, the bulls are too aggressive. He explained you should use younger, smaller bulls, or maybe just have guys in bull costumes. And people should have to wear helmets and pads. You could have different heats, like a 5K race, a family fun run heat in the morning and the more extreme run. Later, it's all about liability and market segmentation. He wanted to add a competitive element. To the changing of the guard at Buckingham Palace, it's very ceremonial. But it's boring. He told a London police officer, you should have 2 teams and they get judged on their marching and their uniforms, like a Britain's Got Talent. For soldier, you could have a celebrity judge panel. The tourists would love it. It would create some drama, some stakes. The ancient city of Petra, he concluded, needed better signage. You walk through this long canyon, which is cool, he said, but there's no build-up. You should have signs along the way, like, you're getting warmer or just 5 more minutes to the treasury. And when you get there, you should have a big sound system that plays some dramatic Indiana Jones-style music. You have to create a moment for people